Finally, on Saturday, the 4th of September, attention on Kaduna State will shift from insecurity to politics. But the two issues can be intertwined. As the Northwest states get set for local government elections, some residents are gripped with fear over insecurity and poor knowledge of electronic voting machines to be used for the council polls. The Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission had on Wednesday displayed the upgraded electronic voting machines, assuring the people that it will put an end to multiple voting. Let's hear from the chairman of the commission.
We, like you have said, Madam Ibrahim has said, we pioneered the electronic voting system during our last local government council's election. That was in 2018. Why that happened was because the governor of this state, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, being very progressive and courageous, decided when we came on board to task us with the responsibility of developing or rather deploying technology to our local government council's election. Initially, we thought all he meant was using the smart card reader because it had been such a success in the 2015 elections. But he said no. He wanted us to go the whole hog and have citizens actually vote on a machine. And so we set out to develop the voting machine, which we eventually presented to the public in 2018. This is my voter's card. I will now bring it here. You see, I didn't even have to touch the machine. You're supposed to highlight it.
Please press the OK button on the right bottom of the EVM to submit your vote.
Okay, this is the one I selected, so I'll press OK. Now on the left here, you see the receipt being generated, and you see the APM logo, and it has dropped into the ballot box.
If Kaduna can do it, how come the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot do it? If you listen to her, the last local government election, it was deployed, and this is an upgraded version.
Is
electronic voting.
You know, Malam Nasir is someone who likes to
the trailblazer
to explore uncharted territories, places where people lack the courage to go to. He tries to go to such places. He tries to set the pace, and that's what we have seen with this electronic voting module that the Kaduna State has come up with. We want our people to be able to choose their leaders by themselves.
Honestly,
we want our people to be able to sack governments that fail to work for them. That's the way it is elsewhere. And you know, until we are able to have transparent elections, where it is only the choice of the people that emerge, we will not have good leadership. Because the leaders we have these days are leaders who do not feel that they are responsible to the people
at all.
Because some of them will tell you, I will win the election in spite of you. Whatever you do, I will win the election. And if you think I've won through crooked means, go to court.
And even court will even determine the fate of how some will emerge.
You know the popular argument there was a popular argument in our political firmament that I came to this program and I combusted it. The argument or the notion that you can only rig where you are popular. Absolute rubbish. People can rig where they are not popular and get away with it. Yeah. And I gave the example of a lawmaker.
Subdue people.
A lawmaker that put a gun to a returning officer's neck and told him, give me a certificate of return. That's somebody who lost the election and the result was in the server. After they put a gun to his neck, he was forced at gunpoint to give the guy a certificate of return. Now, what the law says, for those who didn't listen to me on the day I came up with that analogy, what the law says is that a certificate of return duly delivered to a candidate can only be taken back by the courts. The returning officer felt that because they had the real result fed into their server, that look, he's wasting his time, he's a fool. We are going to
issue another one.
yes, and withdraw
that one.
Yes, he discovered that it was only the court that could retrieve what he had released at gunpoint. Now, the courts, because the guy succeeded in buying the court refused to give an order withdrawing that. The court pronounced him winner. And you know those small, I'm talking about the House of Assembly election. At that point, you know, Supreme Court can't come in, you know, so it's not, you can't go all the way to the highest court in the land. Yes. So that was how someone who did not win an election. So did it need to be popular to rig? Is that not rigging that he successfully did? So you don't have to be popular to rig election in our country. And the only way we can succeed is to continue to introduce technology and erase, what's it called? Erase the frequency of human involvement. You get the point that I'm making? The frequency of human involvement in our elections. If we continue to reduce the human involvement, then we will get there. We will be able to have elections that each and every one of us will be proud of, because the process is transparent.
All right. So we have Dr. Saratu Diko Audu, the chairman of the Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission, joining us now. Thank you for staying with us, Doctor.
You're welcome.
This is the second time we'll be experiencing something like this in Kaduna State, and I want you to tell us about this machine.
Okay, about our electronic voting machine?
Yes.
Yes. How does it work?
Okay, good. The machine works, it's powered by a battery. The battery will last up to 16 hours in the field. So there is no fear that battery will run down on the field. But even if it does, we have deployed generators, and our supervisory presiding officers will be able to quickly get the generator there to power it. Okay, how does the machine work? The machine works, it's a very simple machine. It responds to an authorization card that will give the voter access to the voting platform. But the platform will not open for actual voting until it sees and recognizes a permanent voter's card that belongs to the voter. When the machine sees the card and recognizes, it will then open the voting page for the voter. And you know, we're electing chairmen and councillors. So the first page that will open will be the page for election of the chairman of the local government. Now, on that page will be displayed logos of all the political parties, of all the candidates that have registered to contest in this election. The voter is therefore next required to indicate the logo of the party that's putting up the candidate he wants to vote for by just touching the screen. When he does that, the logo will be enlarged just so that he can confirm that that is the party he actually wants to vote for. When that happens and he's satisfied that that's who he wants to vote for, he now presses a green button which says OK. That means that he's okaying that choice. As soon as he does that, on the left-hand side of the machine, there is a transparent window. Through the window, he will see a paper trail generated for the vote that he had just cast. That trail will carry the logo of the party of the candidate he just selected. He would see it. Within 3 seconds, the paper will be cut and dropped into the ballot box. Then the page automatically changes to the page for the councillorship election.
Now, how can we stop vote rigging through this electronic machine?
Okay, let me finish. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
So the page opens to the councillorship election, he goes through the same process. He selects a logo, it is enlarged, he OKs it by pressing the OK button, and it's generated, a slip is generated that drops into the ballot box. Now, then the page closes, and he can't vote again, because if he tries to vote again, the machine will recognize his voter's card and tell him that he has already voted, so he should not vote a second time. Okay, so that will cut multiple voting. At the end of the election, the machine will print out a summary of results of what has happened on the machine. That summary of results has two portions to it, a chairmanship portion and councillorship portion. The chairmanship portion records all the votes for each political party, for everyone that has voted on that machine. And the councillorship portion does the same. Now, if at any point in time, maybe the agents feel, no, this is not the number of votes that were recorded on this machine, they can actually open up the ballot box, physically sort out the paper trails and count them. Now, the result is printed in 10 copies. So members, party agents that are at the polling unit will have a copy each. That's party agents of parties that have candidates contesting in the election. The security agents at the polling unit will also have copies, and the result is transmitted to our server here in Kaduna. It is also transmitted to a USB port, it's stored on a USB port. So you have 4 levels, excuse me, of the results where the result is stored. The paper trail, the summary of results, the memory on the machine itself, the USB, and the transmission back to headquarters. So it will be hard for anyone to say they want to rig an election and change all those 4 values. And then remember that I said we print 10 copies of the results. So 10 people already have the results out there. How are you going to get all 10 and change them? It's going to be very difficult.
In terms of network coverage in Kaduna, what's the penetration like across the states?
Well, across the state. We have done a survey, okay, and we have deployed networks to areas where they are strong. The network providers have assured us that on election day they are going to boost network for us so that we shouldn't have problems of transmission. Okay, but like I said, the results are already registered in several platforms. So it will be hard for anyone to change results that way. If for any reason the result is not transmitted from the local or from the polling unit, you know that, you and I know that these things have a way of transmitting when network improves or when we get into network area. So we don't have any fears about that. We've tested them out across the state, and they work very well.
Now, is it something that you can recommend, having looked at this machine, having worked on it, is this upgraded version what you can recommend for our national electoral body? Seeing how...
Yes, absolutely. And I actually even have a further recommendation. You say we can further improve the machine by incorporating the smart card reader to the machine. The machine has a provision for fingerprint scanner. So what the smart card reader does for you, the machine can do, so it can be a one-stop shop machine, where the machine will read your fingerprint, read your voter's card, and allow you to vote. And then close voting once you have voted, so that you cannot vote a second time.
Oh.
Okay, madam, I must say that it's wonderful to have a machine like this. But I want to ask, how much of orientation have you done on the use of this machine? Because there are fears in Kaduna now. People are saying that because of illiteracy, they lack the knowledge of how to operate these machines. I would have expected that you should have demonstrated the use to them for them earlier, you know, in some of those communities. So how do you want to respond to this?
We have actually taken this machine to every local government area in the state. And in 2018, we actually went to every ward with the same machine. People tried it out and they love it. We ran a survey after our 2018 election, and over 95% of those who actually voted in 2018 elections said they would recommend this for the entire nation. It's very well accepted. It's a very simple machine to operate, okay? You can operate your phones, And there's nothing difficult about this. The page opens, you select the logo of the candidate, of the party of the candidate you want to vote for, and press an OK button. Simple. The page opens on its own. You select a logo, press the OK button, and you are done. Within 3 seconds, you are done with your election. It's very simple. And I believe that even the old Nigerians are not as illiterate as they are made out to be. Even the old grandmother in the village has a phone. Most people have phones now. The smartphone or the mobile phone is even more difficult to operate than this machine.
All right, then finally, just as before we go, your final message to the residents of Kaduna, people that will be voting on Saturday.
My final message to residents of Kaduna is let peace reign. Let the will of the people prevail. Democracy is all about people choosing who they want to govern them, who they want to run the affairs of their community for them. So let peace reign. Let people choose who they want to. There is no need for violence. This machine will cut out multiple voting and rigging. So allow the will of the people to prevail. Please let there be no violence, no killings, no burnings. There's no need for anyone to lose their life or their property over an election. Let democracy prevail. Let people choose who they want to rule over the affairs of their community. Thank you very much.
Dr. Saratu Diko Audi, the chairperson of the Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission. Thank you for joining us.
And we will be happy to speak with you at the end of the exercise.
Maybe on Sunday.
So that we can have your overview
updates
of how it all went. Thank you, ma.
I'd love to do that. Thank you.
Well, this is good. This looks good.
It's good. It's good. Human interference in the process must be reduced as much as possible.
I'm telling you.
That's why we are so much rigging, because we have not been able to leverage on technology to give our people elections that they can be proud of, that they can raise up, that we can even raise up on this continent. Yes,
we voted this person in.
For selfish reasons, politicians want to continue to rig elections.
And we don't want the courts to choose our leaders for us.
Yes, if the elections are, you saw what happened in 2015, there were very few litigations.
Yes.
Because the elections were largely free and fair. The use of card reader was more than 50%. I think about 56% or so. This time around, the 2019 election, the use of the card reader came to 19%. So increasingly, we want to rig elections. That's to tell you how evil we are. We don't want the people to choose their leaders. I'm proud of a system that can produce something like this, and I know that we can even do better.
Governor of Kaduna State,
yes,
for insisting on something like this.
Dr. Barao was his teacher at basic studies level. He has a way of identifying
talents,
competent people. Some of them very young, many of them women. So we give the governor credit for this, and just as she said, we should be able to recommend this for national use.
I agree with her absolutely, and this means that when we are determined to make things work, they will work. The other excuse they were giving, at National Assembly, that some places that look at what she said. That they are discussing
that the networks promise that they can even boost.
Exactly. So
those ones were no excuses.
It's just lack of determination for whatever reasons that makes some of these things to look like we can't do them.
It's not everything we know that we say here.
No. Sometimes we just bottle up our lips.
But when we're outside the studio, we know how we.
If we say everything we know,
oh God,
there'll be problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
Remember that musician who said, "I'm an a problem." At a problem. We don't want that to happen.
That's problem. And I still don't know what reminisce before he sang that song. I don't know what he meant by that.
You will have to go and interview Reminisce. He explained fully in the course of
Reminisce is a very good actor too.
I'm a problem.
And that's it on Journalist Hangout today.